Hey guys, it is April from Getting Hooga With It. Today I have my June book haul for you. I have some good ones here that I think you might enjoy. So let's get into it. The first one that I got was The Interestings by Meg Wolitzer. Now, this was recommended to me by Stephanie over at That's What She Read. So when I saw this at a library sale, I immediately snatched it up. This follows the friendship of 6 teenagers over the course of a summer, the same summer that Nixon resigns. And it shows their friendship, and then it flashes forward, I think, a decade or two later, and they're all still friends, but they've all gone in slightly different directions in their lives. And it sounds like these teenagers are very artsy. I think it's an art camp. And it's about friendship and how people change over the course of their lives. So it looks really good, and it came highly recommended by Stephanie, so I grabbed that one. I also picked up Secret Daughter. I had actually wanted to pick this up quite a few times. I'd seen it at libraries, but never actually picked it up. And I was at a book sale with my husband, and this woman was browsing beside me, and she saw me pick this one up, and I put it back down, and she was like, that one's a really good one, you have to get it. So I picked it up. So hopefully it is good. This follows a woman, Kavita, and she lives in India, and she gives birth to a baby girl. And in her village, they favor sons, and so she gives the girl up for adoption. And it follows her storyline, and then it follows the storyline of the people that adopted this baby girl. Summer, who's an American doctor, adopts the baby along with her husband. And it sounds like you follow the storylines of both mothers, and that should be very good, and I'm imagining quite heartbreaking. I also grabbed The Nest. This was a huge book last year. It follows the Plum family, who don't all seem to get along with one another. I think their father was very rich, and they are meant to inherit a lot of money from their trust fund, but they only have access to it at a certain point, so they have to wait, and they're like months away from getting access to their trust fund, which is going to really help them out in different ways in their lives. And then one of their brothers gets into a really bad car accident, and I think he was drunk or something. And so they're confronting him when he's like freshly released from rehab. So it sounds like just family drama through and through. I also grabbed The Illegal by Lawrence Hill. So this follows a man who is really into running, and his father is very politically outspoken, and a lot of people don't like his family for that reason. And he kind of feels like the only way that his family can survive is if they live off of his the money that he can raise from running races. So he hires this agent, and he's about to run this marathon. He fails to place among the top runners of that marathon, and because of that, he's basically run out of his hometown. He has to leave, and not only does he have to leave, he has to be like on the run. So he leaves his hometown, and he emerges every once in a while to do like local races so that he can get any money. And he's always really worried that people are following him, and it just sounds really interesting. I also snagged Winter Solstice from Rosamund Pilcher. Now, Kate Howe loves Rosamund Pilcher. She adores her, and I've never read any Rosamund Pilcher before, so I knew that I wanted to start with Winter Solstice, and it just so happened that this was at a library sale that I went to, so I was extremely happy to get this. I don't know too much about what this is about, other than I think it takes place in December-ish, so I'll read it at that time. And it follows a cast of characters and their own journeys. I'm eager to have something to read at Christmas time already. My husband bought me Rise and Shine Benedict Stone, and the story sounds so sweet. This is by the same author of The Curious Charms of Arthur Pepper. I've never read that, but I think that was quite a popular book. And this follows a man named Benedict, and his jewelry store isn't doing well. I think his marriage is also on the rocks, and he just needs a change. And that change comes in a very unexpected form of a teenage niece that he doesn't know so well, who shows up in town and kind of changes things up for him. I also got The Things They Carried. This follows a group of soldiers in the Vietnam War. I think this is actually nonfiction, so it's a true story about how these group of men dealt with the Vietnam War. I've heard wonderful things about this, and it's been on my radar for a while, so when I saw it, I grabbed it. I also picked up Lucky by Alice Sebold. This is the story of her personal experience of being raped, and it's about how she deals with it afterwards. I think it's such a brave story to tell, so I'd really like to read this. I also got from Alice Sebold The Almost Moon. Now, I know this didn't get really great reviews on Goodreads, so I was slightly disappointed with that. But this is a mother-daughter story that ends in murder, and that's just an interesting plot line, I think. It sounds like they have a really tumultuous relationship. The daughter has always been trying to seek the love of her mom, and her mom just won't give it, and it turns to murder. After reading and loving Lily and the Octopus, I just needed more dog-related literature, so I found The Art of Racing in the Rain by Garth Stein, and this is about Enzo. He's an older dog, and this is his reflections of his life. So it's told from the perspective of Enzo, and I've heard wonderful things about this. I also got Garden Spells by Sarah Addison Allen. I've been meaning to read this book for a while now after listening to the Modern Mrs. Darcy's podcast, What Should I Read Next? She has talked about this book a couple of times now. I think it's kind of magical realism meets family drama. This is about the Waverley family, and they inherit this gift of being able to prepare food and give it to people to help them with their problems. So, for example, they'll use certain plants that will help in keeping secrets, and then they'll use others to discourage the attentions of neighbors. So that in itself sounds interesting, but then we also have this sister dynamic where there are two sisters that don't seem to get along very well, and then they both end up living under one roof again, and what ensues from that. So I'm looking forward to that. I also grabbed In the Unlikely Event by Judy Blume. I haven't read Judy Blume since I was a child, so I'm very, very excited that she started writing for adults. I think this goes back and forth in time, so there's 1987 Elizabeth, New Jersey, and then there's 1957 Elizabeth, New Jersey. And it follows this woman who, in her childhood in the 50s, a bunch of airplanes fell from the sky and totally turned this town upside down. And she goes back to her hometown 30 years later, and it is about her recounting her past. I'm eager to get back to Judy Blume. I really am. I also grabbed Major Pettigrew's Last Stand. This is about an older man who is a very grumpy old man, and he likes things done a certain way at a certain time, and he doesn't have much patience for anyone in his little town. And when his brother dies, he creates this friendship with Mrs. Jasmina Ali, and she's a Pakistani shopkeeper in the village, and they create a friendship, and I think it blossoms into something more. So this sounds like a very sweet book, and I personally, there's something about this cover that I just love. I've been meaning to get to this for a very long time now, so I'm happy to have this on my shelves. I also got Sabriel by Garth Nix. I've been meaning to read Garth Nix for a while now. I've heard really, really good things. And this is the first in a series. And it follows young Sabriel, who's always lived outside the wall of the Old Kingdom. Because I guess inside the wall there are dead people that aren't actually dead. So I'm assuming like zombies or ghosts. I don't know. But one day her father goes missing and it's up to Sabriel to save him, and she has to go beyond the old wall. It sounds really mysterious, so I'm hoping it's going to be good and that I'll have to get the whole series. I also grabbed this adorable book called Inside of a Dog. This is a nonfiction book about how dogs work exactly. It talks about their sense of smell and their sense of hearing and like why they chase bicycles and just how they function. And I just love dogs. And if I can get to know my King Charles Cavalier Spaniel Libby a little bit better by reading this, I will definitely do that. I was so pumped when I saw this at a library used book sale because I didn't realize that this book existed. This is called Paula Spencer by Roddy Doyle. This is a follow-up to his book, The Women Who Walked Into Doors, and that book is about abuse within a marriage. And it's about the main character, Paula, and her story after what happened in The Woman Who Walks Into Doors. I read that book, oh gosh, I was in high school, I was in 10th grade. And we're not going to say how long ago that was, but it was a few years. In any case, I am so eager to know what in the heck happened to Paula. I have The Woman Who Walked Into Doors on my shelf, so I might have to reread that before I get to this because it's been so many years since I've read that. But I remember just loving it and like going through it really, really fast. So excited that there's like a sequel. Had no idea. I also picked up The Two-Family House. This is about a blizzard, a two-family townhouse, and two babies that were born like within minutes of each other. And it's about the sisters who gave birth to these babies on the same evening. And it's about their friendship and the crumbling of that friendship years later. We don't know why, but it sounds like there's quite a bit of heartache in this. I don't know whether that means the babies were swapped by accident or what. It sounds like family drama, and that is something I could get into. I also grabbed The Buried Giant. Now this is a mysterious one. It says, the Romans have long since departed and Britain is steadily declining into ruin, but at least the wars that once ravaged the country have ceased. The Buried Giant begins as a couple. Axel and Beatrice set off across a troubled land of mist and rain in the hope of finding a son they have not seen for years. They expect to face many hazards, some strange and otherworldly, but they cannot yet foresee how their journey will reveal to them dark and forgotten corners of their love for one another. That sounds amazing. I really love this author. I picked that one up too. So those are the books that I got in June. Have you guys read any of these? And let me know what you thought of them and which one you think I should start with. There's quite a selection. So I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!